The following program is sponsored by CBN.
Coming up,
my whole life came apart that day.
An abused 10-year-old.
I didn't really understand what was going on.
Who was then traded for sex.
He told me what I was going to do.
While her own mother turned a blind eye.
She, told me that it was all my fault.
Hear how she escaped the pain of her past.
What he's done for me, he can do for you.
On today's 700 Club.
Welcome to the 700 Club. Man, we had a mega million jackpot. Could you imagine $130 million?
I thought it was over $1 billion.
I was kidding, over $1 billion. You're exactly $1 billion. It's so much money I can't even count it all.
No, I mean, how could you spend it? I mean,
well, they can spend. Trust me, they can find ways to spend it. But good grief, this chasing after fortune is just. I think the municipalities are doing the people a great disservice, making them think they can just get rich schemes. But yeah, over 100. What is it now? I've lost track. Is it 130 billion? Is it 100 billion?
I don't know. I just know it was
not 100 billion. Billion
in the billions and
200 million or something.
I agree with you. I'm not a fan of the lottery, nor do I play it.
It's and the chances of winning about as much chance as you flying with wings up to Mars. Well, with less than 2 weeks from what could be one of the most important midterm elections of all time, for months there's been talk of a blue wave of voters giving the House and the Senate back to the Democrats. Now, that blue wave seems to have broken up. Wendy?
That's right. Races are tightening up as voter enthusiasm has grown in the Republicans' favor. A big reason is backlash following the Democrats' attacks on Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh during his confirmation. CBN's Jenna Browder has the story from Washington.
The plants and factories are coming back like never before.
One reason for the recent change in polling is President Trump's nonstop campaigning. So far this month, he's visited 22 cities and plans another 10 rallies before Election Day. His appearances are being met with great enthusiasm. This Texas stadium packed with 18,000 supporters, while tens of thousands more wanted in. It's this enthusiasm that's giving Republicans increased confidence. One administration official tells us they think the president's campaigning and the Supreme Court confirmation of Justice Brett Kavanaugh will help them pick up a seat or two in the Senate. This same administration official also thinks the idea of a blue wave has been overblown.
Anger is the number one issue on both sides.
Most agree, including CBN's David Brody, who was on NBC's Meet the Press this weekend. Anger is fueling both sides.
The Democrats had the anti-Trump venom going for them. They had the super soaker, if you will. The problem is now the problem for Democrats is that Republicans now have their own super soaker in Brett Kavanaugh.
A GOP source on the ground tells CBN News they've seen a major enthusiasm shift because of the ugly Supreme Court battle over Kavanaugh. This source says it's making races in the toss-up states of Missouri, North Dakota, and Indiana much tighter.
She's going to be fantastic, Marsha Blackburn.
In other states like Tennessee, it's neck and neck. Hoping to change that, Representative Marsha Blackburn is full-on embracing Trump and appears to be pulling ahead of her opponent, Phil Bredesen. Now, according to a new Washington Post Schar School poll, the most contested battleground House districts still remain too close to call, with 50% of those polled supporting Democratic candidates and 47% backing Republicans. From now until November 6th, voters can expect to hear a lot of similar themes.
This will be the election of the caravan, Kavanaugh, law and order, tax cuts, and common sense.
The question is who can keep enthusiasm high enough to drive them to the polls. In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Thanks, Jenna. David Brody is CBN's chief political analyst. He's joining us now from Washington. David, there was talk about that blue wave. Where is it now?
Doesn't feel much like a blue wave right now, Pat. Feeling a little bit like a blue basically a blue blip, which means if it's a blue blip, and let's remember, you need 23 House seats to flip for this to be a blue wave and Democrats to take control of the House. This is feeling a little bit more like 15-20 or so in terms of a Democrat pickup. And so if that's the case, that doesn't do the trick for Democrats. Indeed, Republicans would keep control of the House. And in the Senate, it's actually looking even better, as Jenna just reported there. Administration officials and, quite frankly, Republican operatives on the ground do believe that the Senate map looks maybe potentially 1, 2, even 3 additional Senate seats for the Republicans. So this idea of a blue wave is starting to fade pretty quickly, Pat.
All right, what's going to be picked up? They've got something in North Dakota. They're looking at Missouri. Nevada has been very hotly contested, and Arizona. How does that look? You want to go through the list of them?
Absolutely. Arizona, of course, Jeff Flake's seat, they've got to keep that. That's a Republican seat that they've got to hold. Dean Heller in Nevada, they've also got to hold that seat. Both looked iffy at one point. Now they looked much better. Of course, that's what I like to call the AK, the after Kavanaugh period, instead of the BK before Kavanaugh. And so that looks much better. But Missouri, where Claire McCaskill, the Democrat, is in danger of losing to Josh Hawley. As a matter of fact, hearing now just this morning that there'll be a big pastor event this Friday in Missouri. Pastors not just praying, but doing a lot more activism on the ground in Missouri. And I got to tell you, in Tennessee, Pat, this one's an interesting one. Marsha Blackburn, the Republican, versus Phil Bredesen, the Democrat. And it's neck and neck. Marsha Blackburn has done a full throttle embrace of Donald Trump. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I will tell you, a Republican operative on the ground just telling me this morning that after the Kavanaugh hearings, many Democrats in Tennessee actually pulled their yard signs of Phil Bredesen because they said, hey, you know, Bredesen came out against Kavanaugh, and at that point the yard signs went kaput, and they went in the garbage pile as well.
The usual thinking was that men would come out for the Republican rather strongly, but women were going for the Democrats. Has the Kavanaugh thing, are the women now saying that Kavanaugh got a rough deal?
Well, there's no doubt there's been a Brett bounce, and women have played a part of that. Still, the problem for the Republicans is going to be those suburban independent women, especially, that are not too fond of Trump. Remember, suburban independent women, not suburban Republican women who have soured necessarily on Trump. They'll probably stick with him. It's those suburban independent women. And so then it gets into the electorate. And one of the things I'm going to be watching on election night, Pat, is how this electorate is made up exactly. How many suburban independent women turn from supporting Trump and the Republicans in 2016 compared to 2018? And also, how many minorities get out there? How many millennials get out there? I think that's going to be important. And of course, we know about evangelicals. You know, Pat, in every midterm, 26% of the electorate is made up of evangelicals. That's huge. As a matter of fact, that doesn't change from midterm to midterm. In other words, in 2014, it was 26% of the electorate. 2010, 1996, you go back. They've got to be north, though. Evangelicals are going to have to be north of that 26%, I think, for Republicans and this White House to do well because of such anti-Trump venom on the left.
Well, how about this caravan? You know, it looks like the thing's being set up by leftist groups, the so-called Libre down in Honduras and other agitators, but the press is presenting it as poor migrants who are suffering and need to get let into this country. Well, what do you think the mood of the electorate is about that?
Well, I can tell you a couple of things. First of all, it's interesting you said that. Just this morning, I saw a headline on CNN, and they had a shot of the caravan, and it said desperate journey. I think other people might term it a bit differently, that believe that there are potentially some bad actors in that caravan. I mean, let's face it, there's thousands of them in there. Not obviously all of them, but some of them. But look, this is a winning issue for Donald Trump and the Republicans. And more than that, when you talk to independents in this country, folks that really couldn't give a rip if they were Republican or Democrat. But when it comes to this idea of common sense and protecting our borders and not letting folks that want to enter our country illegally and then go ahead and grab some benefits that belong to Americans, then it becomes a common sense situation for independents. And I think that's the problem for Democrats here, is that middle ground. Donald Trump and Republicans will win those independents quite a bit because they understand that a caravan coming to the United States like this doesn't necessarily bode well for what they believe America has stood for many, many years.
Yeah, I understand another one is forming in Guatemala. They get one, and if it's successful, the next wave comes in. What races are you following? I know this 7th in Virginia, this Brat thing, is a possible switch for the Democrats. Did you have any other House races you're looking at?
Well, you're talking about Dave Brat in Virginia for sure. Remember, he beat Eric Cantor, obviously, a few years ago, or it was more than a few years ago now. He was the House Majority Leader at the time, so that was a big one. Yeah, he's in a toss-up race. Look, there are about 70 or so toss-up races around. These are House races in the toss-up category. And besides Dave Brat, there's a couple key ones in California. Duncan Hunter down in that San Diego area. I'll be watching that one. Dana Rohrabacher in California 48. That district, very, very important. These are toss-ups. Typically, San Diego, Republican country down there overall, but they're in toss-up races. If they start losing down there, that would signal potentially a blue wave, so we'll watch those for sure.
Well, historically, the party out of power has picked up in the House as many as 30, 35 seats. Are we going to hold that, or do you think it's going to be in the 20s?
Yeah, it feels a little bit more like the upper teens, maybe 20 or so that Democrats pick up. That won't do the trick. That won't get them the House. I will say this, that a lot of folks have been making comparisons to 2010 and 1994. Those were big wave elections. Remember, 1994, Pat, as you know, contract with America. That was Newt Gingrich, and Republicans dinged up Bill Clinton pretty good in that one. 2010, same thing happened to Barack Obama, President Obama, where the Tea Party came in. Both movements fueled by anger from the electorate. Now we move to 2018, and we had anger before from the Democrats against Trump, but after Kavanaugh, the AK period in political history, after that, Pat, now you've got, as I like to call them, a super soaker of anger on both sides. And so, therefore, I'm not expecting 2010 or 1994 because, remember, there was anger only on one side back then. Now you've got anger on both sides, and they're super soaker fighting this whole thing out. So it's going to be kind of wet and nasty.
Well, I can hardly wait. Thank you so much, David. The anger election. It's not a question of having anger. It's a question of, do you get up and vote? And I want to say it again. Your vote counts. And especially among evangelicals, which have been so solid. But the evangelicals, you know, again, when a coin was presented to Jesus and they said, who should I pay taxes to? Should I pay it to Caesar? And he said, render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and to God what belongs to God. Well, what Caesar in a democracy demands is informed intelligence, active citizenship, and you need to vote. All right, Wendy.
When have we ever cared about the midterms like we do right now?
Well, when you've got the control of Congress, this huge agenda that Trump has put out, deregulation, tax cuts, a booming economy, strength overseas, all the things he's done, the Democrats, you know, this guy down in Texas says, first thing, I'm going to vote to impeach the president. What did he do to get in? You got to have high crimes and misdemeanors. What are you going to impeach him on?
That's ridiculous.
Well, I'm going to vote to impeach him. Well, that's what these Democrats are saying. The minute we're in, we're going to start giving difficulty. We're going to slow everything down. We're going to be nothing but a force for negativity. And that's not a winning thing. And if people go for that, there's something wrong with them. But nevertheless, that's what's out there, and that's what's at stake. I mean, it's Trump, but Trump. I mean, can you imagine it? He's hit 22 cities.
Wow.
Unbelievable. No president, I think, in history has ever campaigned like he has.
It's going to be amazing at the polls. Well, coming up, painful news for retirees. Give up 50% of your pension or risk losing it all.
had to deliver that very difficult and painful message to people who had retired relying on this, and so it was a horrible thing to have to do.
The fallout from the pension crisis after this.
They call them entitlements, and we have a mounting crisis across the nation, and people will not face it. And one of the things that I've been saying over and over again is that the retirement age is wrong. When Social Security first came on the scene, people were dying before they got to be 65. So if you had pensions after 65, it was a small group of the people, because the life expectancy was not up to 65. But now we have extraordinary medicine. We have intervention in diseases that would have killed people 30, 40 years ago that are now staying alive. And the life expectancy of the average American is well past 80. And so to keep retirement at 65 is insane. But we've done it. And what has got to be done, among other things, is the retirement age has got to be moved up. It should be moved to 70, 75, something like that. And so who wants to sit around in a rocking chair anyhow? I mean, it's not fun. It really isn't. I mean, I'm speaking as one of the elder statesmen. I've been around for a long time. But some of these cities, what they've done, the city workers have strong-armed the mayors and the elected officials to say, look, if you want to stay in office, you've got to give us generous pensions. We want pension security, and we want pensions to start at an early age. And some of these pensions started paying off when people were 45, 50 years old. And they were perfectly capable of going out and working some more and getting a second job. And so you have people who retired from one branch of government, for example, getting a pension from that, and they're getting a paycheck from another, and they call it double dipping. They got a lot of money. Well, for decades, they've been promising government workers hefty retirement packages, but in many cases, the lawmakers haven't put any money in to fund those pensions. And now with baby boomers beginning to retire in big numbers, it's time to pay the piper. And Caitlin Burke brings us the story of what that day of reckoning means when one town in Rhode Island, look at this.
Central Falls is Rhode Island's smallest city, but it's made some big headlines. In 2011, it became one of the first cities in the U.S. to file for municipal bankruptcy. After years of economic mismanagement, the city of 19,000 was broke. When something like this happens, cities face major cuts and sacrifices to get back on track. In the case of Central Falls, the state brought in retired state Supreme Court Justice Bob Flanders to help right the city's finances. And the sacrifice came from those expecting retirement payouts.
Bankruptcy is typically called a community of pain, where all the creditors share in the hardship and the pain caused by the bankrupt entity's inability to pay its bills. So here, because the state protected the bondholders, the entire restructuring had to be borne by both the retirees and the active employees.
It was in this auditorium back in 2011 that Judge Bob Flanders told a room full of pension earners that they had two options: risk losing the entire pension promised to them in retirement, or sacrifice 50% of it.
I had to deliver that very difficult and painful message to people who had retired relying on this, and so it was a horrible thing to have to do.
A pension is a promise. City employees like police and firefighters work for a set number of years at relatively low pay in exchange for higher guaranteed benefits once they retire.
In the case of police and fire in Central Falls, they were being allowed to retire after 20 years, and so the average age of these retirees was in their late 40s, 48, I believe. And so They typically still have many working years left, so they're able to obtain a pension and then go out and get another job someplace else and supplement their income for the rest of their working lives.
Decades went by in Central Falls, with each administration talking about better pensions and benefits. Meanwhile, no money was coming in to pay for those promises. Pension debt remains almost invisible. That is, until it's time for the city to pay retiring workers.
This is the poorest city in Rhode Island, and it hadn't seen any significant tax increases for years, despite ever richer pension benefits. So that ended up in a very bad situation where they couldn't pay their bills any longer.
Both active duty and retired Central Falls workers took an immediate hit.
Didn't know if you're going to get a paycheck every 2 weeks. So that first started. And on the same time, you're responding to dangerous calls. And so you're trying to separate your personal and professional opinion about what's going on, but you still have to do your job.
While those on active duty had time to work out a plan B, retired police and firefighters found themselves in a lurch.
It dramatically affected them. Two of the members I know, they had to go into foreclosure with their houses. And that's, it's 70 years old or in your 80s where you counted on this and you worked for this. And these are officers that did about 25 to 30 years on the job. It was hard to see. And we couldn't do anything for them ourselves, even from the perspective of the union, because we were all trying to fight for something.
CBN News reached out to several affected retirees. Their response? After years of fighting to get what they'd been promised, they feel worn down, defeated, and sick of talking about it. Plus, they're tired of seeing their loss used as a cautionary tale for other cities that probably won't pay any heed.
Putting your head in the sand about this like an ostrich isn't going to let the problem go away or get any less severe. It's one that continues to grow with each passing year. And so while the overwhelming temptation is to kick this can down the road as long and as hard as you can so you don't have to deal with it and you leave it for somebody else in the hope that you won't be there when everything explodes, that's obviously not a very good way of solving problems.
In Central Falls, Flanders recognized pension benefits as the biggest part of the problem. As painful as it was, he faced them, diffusing the time bomb.
In my judgment, it's a very effective remedy to deal with issues that, for whatever reason, politically have been unpalatable and unacceptable to the elected officials. Sort of bring in somebody like me from the outside that can have the power to restructure, not worrying about getting reelected or pleasing groups that helped him get elected or that funded his or her campaign. That is enormously helpful in order to get the job done.
Other cities should take note of Central Falls because their retiring workers will also expect to collect a pension. According to one report, however, more than half of the states aren't prepared to pay for the promises made to public employees. Still, someone must pay the price for this extremely broken system when the bill comes due. The question is who? Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Central Falls, Rhode Island.
That's a wonderful piece, Caitlin. And I want to point out, ladies and gentlemen, you need to realize last year, the deficit that was run up by the current administration was like $750 billion. I mean, it was an awful lot of money. And the debt has just spiraled. It's out of control. It's now it's going on to what, $1 trillion and $2 trillion. I don't know. It's so many trillion, 22 trillion. It's so many trillion you can't keep it up. But here's the deal. If they raise the interest rates about 1 percentage point, and that's what's happening, the interest rates go up, the interest on the national debt will now consume virtually all of the discretionary spending of the United States government. It will just about take up the defense budget. It'll take up any entitlements. It'll take up everything we've got. And we're talking about a massive problem. Now, so far, and I want to make this clear, the United States has the reserve currency of the world. And that means that we can print as many dollars as we want to because this is the reserve currency. It's like gold. And everybody, the other currencies key off of the dollar. Now, what happens if suddenly we lose that reserve currency status And we can't print money anymore, but we've got to pay our bills when they come due. And that's the thing. We can't borrow anymore. If nations will refuse to lend to us, China won't lend to us, the Saudis won't lend to us, the Japanese won't lend to us. All of a sudden, our standard of living will go in the tank, and we will be like a third world country, and our standard of living is going to go down. It's going to be so painful. And you have to face what's coming because it's out there. It's a looming crisis that the politicians will not deal with. They refuse to deal with it. We had a commission that was set up that did some brilliant work, kind of say, here's how we can balance this budget and we can grow our way out of it over the period of years. And we can stop all this spending, but you've got to deal with entitlements. You've got to deal with Social Security and Medicare and these other things, because Medicare, for example, is going bankrupt. It won't be long before it's down. Social Security is in the hole. They've been borrowing against the so-called trust fund. It's one of those things that we've got to deal with. And it's coming up, but you better be praying, because if there's one thing that could collapse this country, it is the debt bomb that is building up. Okay, Wendy, I've spoken enough. All right.
Yes, sir. Up next, a woman who survived horrific abuse as a child at the hands of her mother's boyfriend.
The first time that he sold me, he actually took me to a gentleman's home, and I didn't really understand what was going on until we got there, and he told me what I was going to do.
Watch how this survivor finally breaks free when we come back.
You know, a parent is supposed to protect the child. The child is supposed to be safe in their home, in the mother's arms, a little girl. But what if a mother decides to pimp out her daughter? Well, Edie Ray was just such a child when her mother's boyfriend drove her to the house of a stranger. She had no idea what they were going to do until she got there. And for years, Edie was trafficked by her mother's boyfriend as a sex slave. And her own mother did absolutely nothing to stop it.
The youngest of three daughters, Edie Ray, was delighted when her mother's boyfriend moved in with them.
He came in, that loving daddy that every girl wants to have in their life, and, you know, take me places and buy things, and called me his little girl.
He entered Edie's life just 6 months after her own father passed away, and he treated her like a princess. But once she turned 10, everything changed.
The first time that he ever sexually abused me, it shook my whole world. My whole life came apart that day. I felt shameful, guilty. What did I do to cause this?
The abuse became a nightly occurrence. He threatened to hurt her sisters if she ever told.
I remember laying in the bed and just taking the blankets and completely covering from head to toe, thinking that I would just disappear and that he wouldn't know that I was there.
Then he started selling her to other men.
The first time that he sold me, he actually took me to a gentleman's home, and I didn't really understand what was going on until we got there, and he told me what I was going to do. At 12, I got pregnant by somebody. He took me to have an abortion, and the next day I went to school like nothing had happened.
Her mother, a drug dealer, turned a blind eye to the abuse, even when Edie confided in her.
She, told me that it was all my fault, that I needed to stay away from her boyfriend and act like a lady. It made me feel unwanted, unloved.
To numb her emotional pain, Edie started taking drugs. And by 16, she was desperate to escape the abuse. She pursued a relationship with David, a 19-year-old who often bought drugs from her mother.
She called me up wanting to go out on a date, and I told her I couldn't date her because she was only 16. I was 19. I told her to call me back when she turned 17, and surprisingly, she did.
A couple months into us dating, I got pregnant. We decided then that we were just gonna get married and try to make a life and do the right thing.
A few years into their marriage, David was involved in a bar fight that nearly cost him his life. It made him reevaluate the way he was living.
You're never guaranteed tomorrow. I was thinking of the hospital laying there, how close I come to death, and where I was going to be if I did die, because I didn't know for sure that I was going to go to heaven. My mother had invited us to church, and I told Edie, I said, we need to go back.
And then the following Sunday, we gave our hearts to Christ. I heard the right thing, that he loved me, and it spoke to my heart.
Despite her new faith, Edie questioned God about the trauma of her past.
A portion of my heart was like, okay, he loves me, but why wasn't he there? I wanted to know why. Why didn't you save me? Why didn't you rescue me? Why did you let my mom just turn a blind eye? There was just too much going on still in my head.
Over the next decade, her horrific memories sent her into depression. She'd never told David the extent of her childhood trauma.
Me and my pastor, we sat on the floor and prayed a lot of evenings. I thought Edie was going through a mental breakdown, but I didn't know that it was her way of trying to deal with her childhood.
Because every time that I looked in that mirror, I seen myself looking back and hated that person.
In 2008, their pastor began a new teaching series about purpose. For Edie, it started the healing process that she needed.
Shame, guilt, all of these things that I had carried for so long, I was hearing the complete opposite. There was purpose and that I am worthy, and all of that stuff, it was not me.
She decided to seek Christian counseling, and in time, she was able to see herself through God's eyes.
I love that verse in Isaiah where he heals the brokenhearted. And I was broken, and he molded and masterfully put me back together.
In 2010, Edie learned that her mother's boyfriend was in the hospital and wanted to see her.
Fear. Oh Lord, what does he want? What am I gonna say? Why? What's gonna happen? What does he want to see me for?
She decided to see him and prayed for God to guide her response.
At the hospital, I prayed, Lord, let me glorify you in all that I say and do. And went up into the room, and there he was, crying uncontrollably and crying for forgiveness.
Facing her abuser after so many years, she finally was able to release the pain he had caused her.
I said, yes, you caused shame and guilt and fear, but the Lord has healed that, and what he's done for me, he can do for you. And I was able to pray with him, let him know that Christ loves him, and he accepted Christ.
2 weeks later, the man passed away. Edie also forgave her mother and led her to Christ as well.
That forgiveness, I think, was the point in her life where something happened, change happened.
Jesus, he took those memories, and now I'm able to share with other women and let them see what he has done in my life, and the healing and the hope that I have.
He heals the brokenhearted, binds up the brokenhearted. I don't know what's happened to you along the way. Is it as bad as what happened to Edie? very unusual that a mother would put her own daughter out to prostitution, but in that case she did. What do you do when your mother abandons you? What do you do when your father abandons you? What do you do when your stepfather comes in and tries to rape you? And it happens all the time to these women. What do you do? Well, Edie found the answer, thank God, because the Lord himself will heal you and make you whole. And right now, if I want to give you an opportunity to reach out to the one who can put together the brokenhearted and heal up the wounded. I want you to pray with me right now. Let the Lord take over. You want to give him that pain, give him that suffering, give him whatever's been going on in your life. Turn it over to him right now and bow your head and pray with me. Will you do that right now? These words, just say them along with me, but mean them in your heart. As I speak, you say what I'm going to say, all right? But mean them in your heart. Lord Jesus, that's right. Pray with me, Lord Jesus. You know the pain that I have experienced. You know how I have been betrayed. You know the things that have hurt me. You know what I have suffered. And Lord, I know you suffered and died on the cross for me. And you took my pain and my sickness and my suffering. And so right now, Lord, I identify with you. And I ask, Lord, that you will come now into my heart. Live your life in me. And from this moment on, I will live for you, and I am yours. Thank you, Jesus, that you've heard my prayer. And thank you that you've come in to my heart. Now, if you prayed with me, I want to give you something right now. It's a little packlet called A New Day. And you say, well, I just prayed with that guy on TV. What's happening next? Well, I've made a little video. There you go, a little CD. It's called A New Day. And it'll tell you in 70-some minutes what it is that happens next. What it means to be born again, what it means if you sin, any of these things, I'll give it to you free. Please call right now and say, look, I just prayed with Pat. I gave my heart to the Lord, and I want you to know, and please send me this New Day. It's all free, no money, no cost. It's a toll-free number. And if you just want to call in, just do it anyhow. And if you don't even want to give us your name, call anyhow. Just call. Say, I just prayed. I just want to tell you. 1-800, it's an easy to remember. It's 800, then 700, 7,000. 700, 7,000. 700, 7,000. Call right now. Wendy?
Thanks, Pat. Well, still ahead, meet the young couple that Forbes.com has called rock star millennial entrepreneurs. Jamal and Natasha Miller tell how they turned a God-given idea to help the married and young into a 7-figure company. They join us live later on today's 700 Club.
Welcome back to the 700 Club. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is defending President Trump's opposition to the growing massive migrant caravan heading to the United States. The president is pressuring Mexico to stop the caravan of 7,500 people from getting to the U.S. border. Critics are calling Trump hard-hearted, but Pompeo says the president is protecting American sovereignty. Meanwhile, Vice President Mike Pence is also coming to Trump's defense, but on claims that unknown Middle Easterners are part of the caravan. In an interview with the Washington Post, Pence said it's, quote, inconceivable that there are not some Middle Easterners in the crowd. Well, the Trump administration is taking action against those involved in the killing of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. The State Department announcing it's revoking the visas of 21 Saudi suspects in the case. That means they won't be able to enter the U.S. Secretary Pompeo said that's just the beginning, and further action will come once all the facts are known. Meanwhile, President Trump said the Saudis carried out one of the, quote, worst cover-ups in the history of cover-ups. The man at the center of the controversy, the Saudi crown prince, is scheduled to give a public speech today. Well, you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com. Pat and Wendy will be back with more of the 700 Club right after this.
In 2011, Jamal Miller met Natasha through Facebook. 9 months later, the two were married and their love story went viral. Today, they help prepare singles for marriage by teaching them how to be the one. Just watch.
Jamal and Natasha Miller are the founders of Married and Young. Recently, they were featured on Forbes.com for their start as bloggers turned million-dollar entrepreneurs. They credit their success to following biblical principles while helping singles prepare for marriage and teaching couples how to strengthen their relationships. Jamal wrote 25 ways to prepare for marriage other than dating. He and Natasha teach these concepts in their online university with the hopes of changing today's divorce rates by giving people practical advice and showing couples what Christ-centered relationships look like.
And please welcome to the 700 Club, Jamal and Natasha Miller. Welcome, guys. Great to see you.
Thank you so much. Honored to be here.
Well, Jamal, you asked God for an idea. What did you ask for? What did he give you?
Yeah, I asked for God for an idea. We were at a place where we were completely broke, and we were on food stamps. And I said, God, if I sow this seed today, I need something that is going to create wealth for not only for us, but for generations to come. That I want to be able to have something that is going to create wealth forever.
Wow. And before we unpack that, Natasha, how did you meet Jamal?
We actually met on Facebook. Yeah, so I added him as a friend on Facebook. We had some mutual friends.
At least you had mutual friends, right? It wasn't just like a total, like, I've never seen this guy before.
No, I wasn't. Yeah, so we met on Facebook, and about a year later, we actually started communicating through the Facebook app there. And then from there, we went ahead and started courting.
Who needs Tinder? I mean, you're on Facebook, right? Exactly. So what was your courtship like, either one of you?
Well, it was very different, right? Because we were long distance. I was in Chicago, she was in California.
Oh, wow.
And so it required, and I always say it was kind of cool. People always say, well, I'm not really into long distance dating. Well, it was kind of cool because it required us to get to know each other on an emotional level versus being in front of each other every single time, every single day. We had to really communicate and learn how to talk and get to know each other, on a real level.
So beneficial. It really is. Well, you started out with a blog sharing your marriage journey. How has that grown into the outreach that you both have today?
Absolutely. So we started marriedandyoung.com 6 months after we got married.
Married Young.
Marriedandyoung.com.
Marriedandyoung.com.
Yep, 6 months after we got married because our story went viral. After we put it on YouTube, the Facebook love story, people started watching, were inspired, and we're like, hey, babe, it'd be really cool to share with people our journey. We're a newly married couple, we're young, and let's be a fresh example that, young people are actually still getting married. And we released that.
That's really important, actually, isn't it? Because you just hear that everybody's living together or waiting until they get it all together.
Exactly.
But you guys didn't have it all together.
We did not have it all together.
Not at all. And that's actually what made us switch to singles. We're like, okay, let's hold off on telling the married people how to be married, and let's help the singles because we've successfully accomplished that season.
Right. But then even within marriage, as we started our newlywed life and we began to see that, marriage takes work. Marriage is pretty intense. So how can we help this next generation? How can we help singles know that, hey, here's what you can do to prepare and to avoid
I'm
those
getting
pitfalls.
married in 3.5 months, so I was reading that.
Awesome.
I'm like, give me the goods. 25 ways to prepare for your marriage other than dating. This book, Jamal, your book was featured on Amazon's Hot New Releases.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it came out of the moment when I was really ready to get married, and I said, God.
You've been getting ready to be married since you were 12.
Right.
It's in the book, okay?
And it really came out of, really the desire to be, the husband my mom challenged me to be. And I remember one day she looked at me and said, hey, I'm praying for you and your future wife. And I was like 12 years old, and it really marked me.
You snuck into a marriage counseling seminar or something.
Because I said to God, I said, okay, God, where is she? I know you're calling me to marriage, but she's not here. And he said, Jamal, you're so focused on getting married, you have no idea what it takes to stay married. And that's when I said, okay, God, well, what does it take to stay married? And I began to devour every book, every conference, every event I could go to. And that's where that book came out of, because I spent a season not looking for marriage, but preparing for marriage. And all the things I did during that season, I put in that book.
Yeah, 25 ways to prepare for marriage other than dating.
Other than dating.
So give me at least a couple of those. Well, you wrote the book, but I know you know the answers too.
Yeah, there's 25 ways in there, but one that I really enjoyed was one of the ways of really being able to, travel, you know what I mean? And to really be able to see the world and to see, okay, hey, I'm not just going to sit in my house and wait for the one to come and knock on my door, but I'm going to go see the world. I'm going to find out who I am. What is my purpose in life? What does God have for me? And that's our heart, is that we want to encourage men and women to get excited about their future and their purpose, so that while they're waiting, they have something to put their energy and time into.
Right. And Jamal, what do you think are some of the most important ways to prepare for marriage other than dating?
Absolutely. Well, one of the key ways is healing from your past.
Yes.
Because all of us come into marriage with, things that we've experienced, things that we've gone through, some things that are directly, some things are indirectly. And you have to take responsibility for those things by you taking the time to truly understand, how has this affected me? And not allowing those things to get into your future relationships by you saying, Holy Spirit, help me heal from these things. And a lot of the times we think that wounds are going to heal on their own and just heal over time. No, they need to heal intentionally.
And also, you did something that is not very popular in today's culture. You waited for sexual intimacy until your wedding night.
Exactly. And we champion that message because we say it all the time. For me and Natasha to be able to say that this gift I give to you, no one else has had. And we challenge our singles, whether you have already done that.
You can do it.
You can start today.
You can do it.
Redeem the time today.
Wow. And also, now that you're married, and how long have you been married?
We're married now going on 5 years.
Congratulations.
Beautiful children.
Now you feel like you can start giving some marriage advice.
Exactly.
How do you stay married? How do you have a good marriage? So give it up. What do you got?
Well, one of the biggest things that we've talked about is helping us is truly learning one another by the Spirit. I think a lot of times we look at the outward things of the person's abilities and person's skills, and they make me laugh, and and I love how they communicate and all the different things. But let's look at learning them by the spiritual gifts that God has given us, and let's be able to honor one another by the purpose that's upon each other's life, because that is what's going to truly help us to go the long distance. Is knowing that we are doing something together that's for the kingdom of God.
And I like what you said in your book. Some people are compatible and some people are suitable. And there's a difference. And you have to get the book to find out exactly what the difference is. Jamal's book is called 25 Ways to Prepare for Marriage Other Than Dating. And it's available wherever books are sold. And it's fantastic, by the way. For more information on the Millers' website, marriedandyoung.com, and their online university, The One, just go to cbn.com. And to hear more from the Millers today, check out our Facebook interview with them. You can go to facebook.com/700club. You don't want to miss that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much
for having us.
Well, still ahead, your questions, honest answers. Marianne says, my sister is a Christian, but she's fascinated with ghosts and haunted houses. I tried to tell her it's not biblical. Can you help me explain this to her? Stay tuned for Pat's answer and more. Welcome back. We're going to jump right into your email questions. This one's from Marianne. She says, my sister is a Christian, and last night we were talking and she started telling me about a place she once lived in where she saw spirits and ghosts. I told her they were not real. She believes without a doubt the place was really haunted. She's even fascinated with the stuff. I tried to tell her it's not in the Bible. Could you help me explain this to her?
Well, I don't know what to explain except to look at the Bible. It says, shall a man turn to spirits that peep and mutter, not to the living God. Without question, there are demonic spirits. You read the Bible, it's very clear, Satan and his angels, fallen spirits, demonic powers, and they want to possess human beings, and they can appear in all kinds of forms, the so-called familiar spirits. I don't know what to tell her except that these things are not of God. And they want to do one thing, and that is to destroy human beings made in the image of God. Satan hates people made in the image of God, and he wants to destroy them. And he'll use his own angels, his fallen angels, to do that. They're called demons or unclean spirits. All right?
Okay, Kristen says, with the recent series that the 700 Club did on a healthy gut and how you can prevent and cure cancer and all sorts of diseases, do you think that the cure for cancer is actually out there? Could the medical industry be making too much money from treatment to release the cure?
I don't think the medical industry, but that gut flora stuff, I don't think necessarily is a cure for cancer. We weren't presenting it as any such thing. We were presenting it as a means to be healthy, and the gut is like a second brain. It controls a lot of your emotions. It controls autoimmune diseases and a lot of the things that people had, including inflammation. But I think a cure will come for cancer. But the medical industry is doing everything they can to find it. And of course, if a pharmaceutical company comes across a real cure for cancer, they're going to make a lot of money on it. So they're not going to hide it. All right?
Yeah. All right. Arlene says, hi, Pat. Recently at our ladies' Bible study, during which we are studying the book of Acts, someone brought up a Bible teacher who says that the laying on of hands and tongues and gifts all stopped with the original apostles. He says that a lot of what is going on today is demonic and fake. Is this true? And if not, how can I prove that this is not true?
Well, you know what the Bible says. Whether they be tongues, they'll cease. Whether they're prophecies, they'll fail. We say, oh, prophecies failing? Well, of course not. Well, when the perfect comes, then that which is imperfect will be done away. Well, what's the perfect? The perfect is the second coming of Jesus. It is the anointing of the Holy Spirit. So the gifts of the Spirit, there's nothing in the Bible that indicates that at the end of the first century that all the charismata stopped. It just didn't. And Paul said, earnestly desire the better gifts, especially that you may prophesy. So, and he himself said, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not love. So, it's one of those things. So, no, these didn't stop because they're being exercised by responsible people, of whom I hope I am one. Well, we leave you with today's Power Minute from 1 Corinthians. Eye has not seen, nor ear heard, neither has entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for those who love him. Now, on tomorrow, we've got an author of a book that talks about the clashes, the battles between Muslims, Islam, and Christianity. You will not believe some of the stuff that he'll tell you about the sack of Constantinople. It's an amazing story, and you don't want to miss it. So thank you for being with us.
It's been fun.
It has been fun.
We'll do it again tomorrow.
Will I see you tomorrow? Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.